Good evening. You're watching the main news on ATV. I'm Anne-Marie Sim.
And I'm Edna. Here's a look at tonight's headlines.
Development Minister's top aide resigns after being exposed for failing to declare interest over new territories' land ownership.
Barry Zheng is sued for $14 million loan by a company holding big stake in his failed trading platform.
Powerful storm keeps number 3 typhoon warning signal up, but number 8 unlikely. In another big embarrassment for the government, embattled Development Secretary Paul Chan's top aide has resigned after being exposed for a land ownership scandal almost exactly like the one plaguing his boss.
Henry Ho has quit after apologizing for failing to declare his interest in New Territories land that his family owns and is slated for resumption under the government's redevelopment plans. Even as Paul Chan struggles to salvage his tattered reputation, his top aide has plunged him further into crisis. The Development Secretary's political assistant, Henry Ho, was exposed by the Apple Daily newspaper today for a conflict of interest controversy very similar to the one that his boss is caught up in. Ho's family owns this 20,000 square foot land at Ho Shang Road in Kutong, which is earmarked for public housing under the government's controversial plans to redevelop the northeast New Territories. The plot of land houses a chemical factory owned by Ho's family, and according to the newspaper report, he was the director and biggest shareholder of the holding company. Ho admitted today that he had quit his directorship and transferred his shares to his mother in November last year. That's a month before he took up his post at the Development Bureau. The government confirmed today that Ho had failed to provide this information in his declaration of interests, something that has sparked suspicion about a possible cover-up. In a dramatic turn of events, Ho resigned this afternoon, apologizing to the chief executive, Chan, and the public. That puts further pressure on Chan himself to quit. So far, he has refused to step down despite concerns that he has lost all credibility because of the conflict of interest scandal over farmland owned by his wife in Kutong and, in his own words, the clumsy way in which he handled it. Former Civil Service Secretary Joseph Wong pointed out today that while it's difficult for senior officials to include every family member's assets into their declaration of interests, if they're in doubt, they should declare it.
Although, strictly speaking, one can say he has not breached the declaration rules, but it is of course, open to question whether he has not really followed strictly the principle that all political appointed officials should be entirely above board, should be whiter than white.
Executive Councillor Bernard Chan agrees.
We have to be aware, these are sensitive types of issues, and we need to disclose them as soon as possible and also to explain to the public accordingly.
Most agree that all this is making it more difficult for the government to go ahead with its New Territories development project, which is opposed by villagers who will lose their homes to make way for new towns. Executive Councillor Regina Ip says the project can't be scrapped because it's crucial to the government's mission to provide affordable housing, but she's suggesting setting up an independent commission to take over.
Well, I think it would be useful to decouple the anti-Northeast development project from officials who have been embroiled in conflict of interest controversy. We don't want these controversies to hamper the implementation of the Northeast development project.
Ho's resignation is the latest blow to Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying's government. Since he swore them in last July, he's lost 3 cabinet members: Development Secretary Mak Chai Kwong, top aide and close friend Barry Zheng, and just yesterday, property analyst Franklin Lam. Former Executive Councillor Barry Zheng is back in the spotlight as he's being sued over a loan one of his firms took out earlier this year.
Zheng acted as a guarantor for the $40 million borrowed by the company that holds more than half the stake in his failed Hong Kong Mercantile Exchange.
Barry Zheng has been keeping a low profile since he stepped down from the Executive Council and other public posts in May, just days after police launched a probe into the Hong Kong Mercantile Exchange, which collapsed after running into financial difficulty. But the fallout over the failed trading platform which he founded continues to drag his name into the spotlight. In the latest twist, court papers today show that Zheng is being sued for $40 million. That's the total amount of loans taken out by one of his offshore companies, New Effort Holdings, which owns 56% of HKMX. Zheng, who was one of Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying's closest aides, acted as a guarantor for two loans of $20 million each, taken out on the 13th of January and the 27th of February. The man who was suing the former cabinet member is named in the court documents as Leung Chi-hon, a director of Sunli Holdings, which entered into a loan agreement with Zheng and New Effort. The three parties, Sunli, New Effort and Zheng, had agreed to delay repayment of the loans until April. But now that that deadline has passed, Leung wants his money back, plus interest. The writ is dated yesterday, and Zheng has 14 days to settle the matter. The court writ also shows that the registered address of New Effort is at Cyberport in Pok Fu Lam, the same as for HKMX. It's the second time in 2 months that the failed exchange faces a demand for payment. In June, it was slapped with a writ by Cyberport, seeking $7 million in outstanding rent.
The number 3 strong wind signal remains in force, with severe tropical storm Jebi expected to be closest to Hong Kong later this evening.
It's bringing plenty of unsettled weather, but on its current path, a higher signal is unlikely. ATV's Bo Leung reports.
People went about their daily business this morning, although the number 3 strong wind signal was in force and heavy rain pounded the city. The windy conditions caused by severe tropical storm Jebi also didn't appear to bother visitors and locals who ventured to the Tsim Sha Tsui side of the harbour to snap pictures. The number 3 signal was issued at 4 p.m. yesterday, but the observatory said it was unlikely that a higher signal would be issued. On its current track, Jebi, the Korean name for a small bird, is expected to flit past Hong Kong and head towards Hainan Island.
According to this forecast track, Jebi will be closest to Hong Kong around this evening and skirting to the southwest of Hong Kong at more than 400 kilometers. And when Jebi starts to depart from Hong Kong gradually and its stretch to Hong Kong has becoming less, the Hong Kong Observatory will consider cancelling the strong wind signal number 3.
You can still expect squally showers tomorrow, although the weather should clear up in the following days. Hainan, meanwhile, has been preparing for a direct hit. Heavy winds lash the island, with Jebi expected to make landfall tonight. The storm caused traffic disruption, with 100 flights at Sanya Phoenix International Airport cancelled, leaving 5,000 tourists stranded. Fishing vessels were ordered to return to port and ferry services were suspended as officials took steps to prevent damage and casualties. Bo Leung, ATV News.
Pan-Democrats who were invited to a dinner with the chief executive last night say Leung Chun-ying was urged to speed up public consultation on universal suffrage for the 2017 election.
Nothing concrete was achieved, but both the pan-democratic and pro-government camps did agree on the importance of consulting the public.
About 24 politicians, professionals and academics from the pan-democratic and pro-Beijing camps left Government House last night after being served up a menu of political reform by the chief executive. Some of the dinner guests revealed that Leung Chun-ying was a gracious host and appeared willing to listen to the opinions of various parties. But he did not commit himself and nothing concrete was achieved. One of the diners, former Democratic Party lawmaker Cheung Man Kwong, revealed after a radio show this morning that he had urged Leung to launch a public consultation on the electoral arrangements for the chief executive polls in 2017 as soon as possible. Cheung said he suggested that Leung set up a platform so that all members of the public could get involved in the consultation exercise. In March, the chief executive told President Xi Jinping that he would implement 5 steps to amend Hong Kong's electoral methods to achieve universal suffrage in 2017. But Cheung said the 5-step plan would be pointless without the government coming up with a proposal that the public can accept and that is based on genuine democracy. The Democrat also accused the government of inflating its claims that it has the public support for its political reform proposals.